Welcome to your e-learning video for today. Today's assignment, we're not going to do anything really new again today. It's going to again be combining together a couple of skills that we've already talked about. And so I want to review with you those two skills first, and then I'll show you how we're putting them all together. And so the first skill we're going to look at is what you worked on a little bit yesterday, where you have a point and a slope, and you're going to write the equation in point-slope form. So remember, that point-slope form equation looks like this. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And while that looks complicated, basically it comes down to three blanks that you need to fill in. This y, to start with, is always there. The equal sign is always there. And the parenthesis with the x is always there. We need to fill in these three spots. And so remember, the spot that goes next to the x and the spot that's next to the y, that comes from our ordered pair. Remember, an ordered pair is always an x and a y value. So the 5 goes next to the x, and the 2 goes next to the y. However, the signs that go in between those are going to be the opposites of whatever you see in the ordered pair. So since this was a positive 5 and a positive 2, we put down a minus 5 and a minus 2. The reason why is because those have subtraction signs. It says minus y1 and minus x1. However, if they'd already been negative, that would have made those positives. Then the slope, that's what m is. And so we're going to put the negative 5 in front of these parentheses. And so we've worked on that a couple of days now, so hopefully you're getting somewhat comfortable with using that equation. But on this first problem here, that's all you have to do is write the equation in point-slope form. Okay, don't rearrange it like we were doing on the previous assignment. Just write it in point-slope form. Okay, make sure you read the instructions so you know what form you need to put it in. Okay, so that's one of the skills that we're going to be reviewing in your assignment today is that. The other skill that you're going to be reviewing today is going to be taking that same information or getting some of that same information, finding the slope first. And so we've done this. It's been a few days since we've done this, but remember to find the slope between 2 points. Our equation that we did for that was always that slope was equal to rise over run. And so as we do rise over run, remember to find the rise, you subtract the y's. And so what we mean by that is each one of these ordered pairs is an x and a y value. And so to find the rise, you subtract the y's. So the first y is 2 and the second y is negative 7. So to find the rise, you would take 2 minus negative 7. To find the run, you subtract the x's. And so 7 minus negative 1. Make sure you subtract in the same order both times. So when we take 2 minus negative 7, our answer is 9. If you're not good with negatives, remember to use your calculator. You can go to desmos.com, and there's a fraction calculator there you can use. Then 7 minus negative 1, that's going to be 8. And so our slope would be what we would get when we reduce 9 over 8. 9 over 8 does not reduce, and so we would just leave the slope then as 9 over 8. So that's the second skill that we're going to be using today. So the first skill is to put it in point-slope form. Second skill is to find the slope between 2 points. Because what we're going to do today, instead of me giving you a point and a slope like we had been doing, I'm going to give you 2 points from the line, and I'm going to ask you 3 questions. The first question is, what is the slope? Okay, we just did that. Okay, the second question is, what is the point-slope form? And the third question is, what's the slope-intercept form? So these kind of build off of each other. So again, the first question about the slope, think of rise over run. So rise, you subtract the y's. And so in this case, we have a y of negative 5 and a y of negative 3. So we would take negative 5 minus negative 3. Subtract the x's to find out the run. So the run would be 8 minus 12. So do those 2 problems. Okay, what do you get when you take negative 5 minus negative 3? Okay, you get negative 2 for that. What do you get when you take 8 minus 12? All right, you get negative 4. Remember, 2 negatives always make a positive when we're dividing. And so when it's negative 2 over negative 4, our slope, we would just write that as 2 over 4, although you're a lot better off if you can simplify that, and it does simplify to 1 over 2. It will count either one of those answers right, but try to simplify it if you can because it makes the rest of this process a little bit easier. Okay, now we know a slope and we know a point. So we can fill in that point-slope form like we did at the beginning of the video. Okay, remember that's this form here, y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Now you may be asking yourself, which point do I use? It doesn't matter. It'll count both of them right. So if we use this first point, because it does say x1 and y1, so that may be why we would pick the first one there. But like I said, it doesn't really matter. Okay, if we pick the first point, we would do y. And remember, we're going to fill in 3 blanks here. Okay, so what if we use this first point? Okay, let's ignore this one for right now. Don't want you to get confused by it. If we use this point, okay, what number would you put next to the y? All right, should you put a +5? Okay, because it is a -5, so we put down a +5. Okay, what number would you put next to the x? Since this is an 8, you would put down a -8. And then what number would you put in front of the parentheses? Okay, that's the number you just found, the 1/2. Okay, so there's your second step. Okay, now let's find the answer to your third step. Okay, so as you put this in slope-intercept form, remember the first thing you want to do is use the distributive property. Okay, so after you use the distributive property, what do you end up with on this side of the equation? All right, you should have 1/2 x minus 4. 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. 1/2 times -8 is -4. Okay, now let's do your last and final step. And so when you do your last and final step, what's your final answer going to be? All right, you should have moved this +5, which makes it a -5 when you move it across the line. And so we end up with y is equal to 1/2 x, and then -4 minus 5 makes this a -9. And so we have y equals 1/2 x minus 9 as our final answer there. So again, you're not really doing anything that you haven't done before. It's just combining those things together. Okay, you have found the slope before. You have written equation in point slope form before. You've written them in slope intercept form. The difference is you're putting it all together. So you're going to start with 2 points. First thing you're going to do is find the slope. Once you found the slope, you're going to put it in point slope form. Once you have it in point slope form, then you're going to rearrange it into slope intercept form. Now, I think on your assignment that you're doing on My Open Math, you can do the first part of this problem and submit your answer, and it'll tell you whether it's right or wrong. And then you can do the second part and submit your answer, and it'll come back and it'll tell you whether those are right or wrong, and so forth. So that way you don't end up doing the whole problem where you had a mistake in the very first part. So you might check your answers along the way as you're working through those problems. All right, hopefully you won't have any problems with that, but if you do, don't forget to send me an email or send me a message through Canvas Messenger, and I'll be sure to get back with you and help you out with that. But that is all you're doing today, and so good luck with that, and that's all I have for you, folks.